Chapter 3. The Palace in the Forest. The Sultan said, "This is most strange." Then he sent for the fisherman. "Where did you get the fish?" he asked him. "There is a lake in the forest," the fisherman answered, "and there are hills all around it." "I do not know of any lake in the forest," the Sultan said, "and there are no hills." He turned to his servants and asked, "Do any of you know of a lake in the forest? Do you know of any hills?" None of them did. "I don't believe you," the Sultan said to the fisherman. "There is no lake in the forest, and there are no hills." "Come with me, and I will show you the lake and the hills," the fisherman said. The Sultan, his servants, and the fisherman went into the forest until they came to the lake. "And there are the hills," the fisherman said, pointing to them. The Sultan looked into the water and saw many beautiful fish in it. "I do not know why there is now a lake in the forest," he said. "I do not know why there are now hills here. I do not know why this lake has such beautiful fish in it. I must find out what is happening here and why." He told his servants to go back to the town. Then he began walking towards the hills. He walked up and down for many hours until he came to a beautiful palace. There were no guards at the doors of the palace, so he went inside. At first, he thought there was no one in the palace. Then he heard the sound of someone crying. He opened a door and walked into a large room. At one end of the room, a young man was sitting on a chair. The young man was crying and saying, "Oh, I am so unlucky. Life is so unkind to me." He said these words again and again. The Sultan walked up to him. "What is wrong?" he asked the young man. "Can I do anything to help you?" "I am so unlucky," the young man answered and opened his robe. The Sultan looked at the young man's body. The top half was the body of a man, but the bottom half was black stone. "Why is your bottom half black stone?" he asked the young man. "It is a sad story," the young man said. "I am the son of the king of this country. When my father died, I became king. I fell in love with my cousin. She was beautiful, and at first I thought she was a good woman. I did not know she was an enchantress. I married her, and for a few years we were happy. Then she met another man. He came from India," the young king told the Sultan. "She fell in love with him. They met secretly in the garden. One day I hid behind a tree. I listened to them talking. 'I will do whatever you want me to do,' my wife said to the Indian. 'I will turn this palace into ruins. I will move it to another place.' These words made me angry, and I came out from behind the tree. I hit the Indian with my sword, and he fell to the ground. He did not die, but he was very badly wounded. My wife, the enchantress, spent many days and nights taking care of him. She built a place for them both. She called it the Palace of Tears. Then she punished me for wounding the Indian. She made my palace disappear. She turned all of the servants who lived in the palace into fish. Then she turned my bottom half into black stone. There is nothing I can do to help myself. I shall be like this until I die." "That is a strange story," the Sultan said. "Perhaps there is something I can do." "No," the young man said. "When the Indian dies from his wounds, I am sure my wife will kill me." "Is the Indian still alive?" the Sultan asked. "Yes," the young man answered, "but he cannot speak and he cannot move." "But your wife, the enchantress, visits him every day?" "Yes," the young man answered. "She visits him every evening as soon as it is dark." "Then I have an idea," the Sultan said. "Tell me how to find the Palace of Tears." The young man told the Sultan how to get to the Palace of Tears. Immediately, the Sultan went there. He found the Indian and killed him. He threw his body into a well. Then he took the Indian's place on his bed. He pretended to be the Indian. As soon as it was dark, the enchantress came into the Palace of Tears. "I am feeling better," the Sultan said. He spoke like the Indian. "I would like you to do something for me." "I will do anything for you," the enchantress said. "I want you to be well again." "Then you must change your husband's bottom half back into a man's body. You must change the fish back into servants. You must make everything the way it was before you changed it." "Will you be well again if I do what you ask?" "I will," the Sultan said in the Indian's voice. The enchantress went away. She did everything the Sultan asked. She made her husband a whole man again. She turned all of the fish in the palace back to people. Then she went to see the Sultan. She still didn't know the Sultan was pretending to be the Indian. "My husband is a whole man again," she said, "and the palace is full of people." "Good," the Sultan said in the Indian's voice. "Come closer." The enchantress moved closer. The Sultan took his sword from under the covers and hit her with it. She fell to the floor and died. The Sultan then went to where the young king was. "I am a whole man again," he said. "I cannot thank you enough." He gave the Sultan gold and jewels, and the Sultan went back to his own palace. He was now much richer than before. The first thing he did was to send for the fisherman. He gave him enough money for him and his family to live on for the rest of their lives.